Everybody, it's Linda Morrison here from Ageless Body, Ageless Goddess, and Ageless Business. I'm really super excited here to continue our series 2 on the art of listening. The art of listening has expanded across so many realms, it's quite incredible. So today in the room, I've had people from Germany, right through to England, to UK, to New Zealand, Queensland, Melbourne, back again like a ping pong ball. And here we are. We're actually in this space where we're talking about something that might not be for you today, but I always arrive back at anything yoga and I always arrive back at anything where I can bring my presence back to my own self-care. So, Carin Anderson, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
So, Carin Anderson is part of probably a movement that was probably launched like many of my were before people had the knowledge about it all, but also probably because of it. Karen, can you tell us about what you do, how you help people, and also how you arrived at this work that you actually do to help people?
I'm a qualified beauty therapist, a certified facial yoga instructor, as well as a yin yoga instructor. I help women, especially over 40, that want to age naturally, holistically, without having invasive procedures. So by really tuning in who they are and taking some time out for themselves in the comfort of their own home. So I do that in person or via Zoom all over the world to really love the skin and the body they are in naturally. Because I believe true beauty radiates from the inside out. With being still, having a moment, and knowing what to do. So I teach that massage techniques, exercise techniques, together with breathing and mindfulness, gratitude. You know, it's a privilege that we're getting older. As many of
I,
us denied.
Thank you so much for actually saying that. I totally concur and agree. And also, I know Karen's actually a practice as well. Everything builds on other things. So I think that when Karen says it's a practice, it is an everyday practice. It's ain't easy to look at yourself at the end of the day or the start of the day when you do your practice of anything. If you feel like you haven't rounded off your last day in a good attempt or resolution in what you're actually wanting to do. So being a modern woman, to me, what actually happens, apparently, and like you, Karen, because you're very beautiful also, it's like, we're being delivered a certain amount of stuff, but are we doing some good stuff with it? Sometimes not, sometimes we are, but there's something about someone that looks after themselves that someone else or others will be attracted to. This has fascinated me across my 40 years of working actually with people, is that you can always tell someone in the room whom has actually done their very best with what they've got. So it ain't a cop out to get some really good genes, but also it might be good as well. But it ain't a cop out. Also, you can trans transcend those genes and be up where you need to be. There's something about being in a room with someone whom is present, has looked after themselves, who actually knows that they need to be there. When I say in a room, it doesn't matter what the room is, but they've arrived at something. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Because it fascinates me in and around that, because I spent hours on my own body, but when my headspace wasn't with my body might have looked like that, but my head wasn't quite there. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you are not 5 minutes old.
No, absolutely not. And it does come with age and with experience. And I truly believe, we've got to get to a space where we're really uncomfortable and where we really experience events, tragic events, that makes you realize, okay, hang on a minute, just slow down, just look inwards. What is really, really important to me? Where do I want to be? Who do I want to become? And that is something that, yeah, the age really teaches you. And if you listen to it instead of, oh my God, I've got another line on my face, and just only from the outside, then it will never happen. And I've worked with so many women that realized, wow, if I really stop and practice gratitude and practice every day, and it was just 5 minutes per day to stop, to think, to do some stuff for myself. I do have this. Do have this energy, the strength to go on, and that is something that has become over the years. It's never, when I was young, I always identified myself. How do I look? How's my hair? How's everything? I started having a few fillers initially. And then I thought, this is not the answer. This is really not the answer, because people can tell, right? Can tell when women have so much work done. And it's, yeah, you're hiding behind something, while when you've got a few lines and you radiate this inner peace and the happiness and the gratitude, wow, then the energy. And people want to surround themselves with people that have that and work on that. And that's possible. It really is. If you're open to it, if you allow it.
Yeah, 100%. And there's so much wisdom in the process as well. So, um,
Yes.
correct. So I love the word allow, also surrender. So
Mhm.
what are we going to do anyway? So if someone along the way knows your birthday, what are you going to do anyway? It's going to be the thing. Also,
Yeah.
is your superpower. It's an interesting time that you've come across with this time of the world, because I happen to be of a family where, if I can scratch on this itch or like really get into this, 'cause it's quite interesting for maybe others to actually hear, is that when my grandmother, she was 46 years of age. She'd already had three grandchildren, three grandchildren by that age, right? And she was a nana for the first time at 41.
Amazing.
And she already looked like a grandmama,
Yes.
but she lived until she was nearly 93, and she was gorgeous, right? So, um, what did, you know, obviously we can all count, you know. These are the things that happen. If you're 19, then 19, then 19, you're going to get a kid or, whatever. We can all count. The facts are there's a pressure on, she was allowed to look like a nana at
Mhm.
42. I'm 53. I'm not allowed to look like nothing, right? So, how do you go about working with people in and around those? ideas of what they can remember about. That's the truth. I can remember some other stuff and maybe some other, you know, nanas, nanas that died at 42 in childbirth, by the way, and all the things and all
Yes.
the things and all the things. But this is what I've got, you know. So here we are. We're meant to look like Hollywood models or now AI, but there's something really going on in between the lines of all of it. I'd be very happy, by the way, to be a nana right now because I think it's one of the best jobs ever. But
100%.
here we are. Um, but all she had was looking like the Queen's mother at
Mm.
yeah, and in those times. And there was no other pressure apart from being a good mummy in the house and
Hmm.
nana in the house. So now there's other pressures. You've got to make $1 million. You've got to look like God only knows what, Angelina Jolie, and like something, something, and all the things. But what do you make of all of that for ladies that are just trying to move forward?
Um,
A lot
I
there, Monica.
believe,
I'm sorry that I've just done that to you, but it is interesting, isn't it? Don't you think, as an
oh,
archetype? Like it's
oh,
really,
100%. And I've been there. I mean, I'm turning 60 this year. So, and I'm going like, oh my God, people often think I'm a lot younger. How can you be 60? You look at least 10 years younger. And I'm really thinking, but I'm so proud of being 60. And I don't know if I really want to be 10 years younger, want to be at that space where I was when I was 50 years old, because I've grown so much as a person with that. And that is something I believe it's really important as we mature to find things that really fills our cup, and really is surround ourselves. It's become more important with people that uplift us, people that inspire us, and you're open to learn things, your curiosity. And I really truly believe you're old if you're closing down, if you don't want to learn anything anymore, if you kind of think, no, this is always the way it has been and it's the way it should, then you become so stuck. And that's not, to me, this is when you grow old, it's that I think it's a really important one. And I've experienced that. And I was born and grew up in a very conservative environment, where people in northern Germany in the 60s, where you have your job and you stay there until you're 65 and you're lucky to have that and you don't break out. And for me, one of the best things was, breaking out and starting new things again and exploring things. And I'm still doing that until today. And that's what I would encourage really women to do. You're never too old to pivot. And that keeps you energized and it keeps you young and it keeps you vibrant and interesting.
can I just ask and be a little bit personal before we like round off with different things? Is that can I ask that when you didn't toe the line on the certain decades, 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, all the things, was that uncomfortable for you all of the time?
Um, Not all of the time, but there were certainly times they were hard and they were uncomfortable, and where I thought, okay, I've got a choice, which way I'm going. And but I found every time I was uncomfortable and I actually worked through it, it I got the rewards for it. 100%, definitely.
And the rewards really, well, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but that you were able to understand that you had some understanding of how to do the next thing when it came.
100%. So one thing often leads to another. You know, when you get uncomfortable and when you go through that, then all of a sudden you see something different and you explore and experience something different. And that path leads you to something else. And that was something, you know, that I really, really enjoyed doing. For example, when I did my facial yoga certification, I thought, okay, I really, really love that. And I can teach that until whenever, when I'm 80, hopefully, if I get there, because I need my voice and my hands and to explain that. But then I thought, oh, I want to do as well the body as well as yin yoga, you know, because it's all interconnected and it's calming and soothing. And that's really what the world needs more. It's we spend so much time in the doing and not enough in the being. And so just take that space to re-energize, to then go out and face the world.
Yeah,
So
100%.
yeah, so I've done that last year, my yin yoga certification in India, you know, under really uncomfortable condition, extreme heat and everything else. So, but the rewards are amazing.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, heat, we know about that across in Australia, but yeah, definitely where you were for sure.
Yes,
Thank you so much for saying
my
that.
pleasure.
Yeah, so um, I think that the whole understanding is that the art of listening comes through many different modalities and spaces, but also those that can you can lean into or others for what you're actually needing. So thank you, Carin, for being here today.
Thank you. No, my pleasure.
So I'm going to wind it off unless there's something more that you'd actually want to say. We're going to have Corinne's links below, but also her bio so you can get in touch with her. But yeah, she's been someone that's been very, very leaned into my journey, actually. And just know that the journey is not always a straight line. Also, some of the marketing professionals at the moment might tell you that there's a way, to my knowledge and my understanding, and also my experience, to make very good, really good, lucrative businesses. Is that it's not ever always a straight line. So thanks for being here, Karen.
Thank you, Linda. My pleasure.